Hey, good morning from Red Deer, Alberta. This is Doris Ptolemy, and I have my new friend Senida here. And Senida is all the way from Cairo, Egypt, and we met online the other day. Originally, she's from Romania. And Senida was educated in Great Britain, and she started this new business, and it's called Excellence in Expat Education. So expatriates. Say that word
Correct.
again.
Expatriates.
Yeah, so that's a
Expatriates.
nomad. So in other words,
That's right.
she started this new company to help other people that have children that need to go to school. And like, what do you do when you get to a different country? Like, where do you take your
That's
kid
right.
to school? Like, what do you? So anyway, she is going to explain this new business of hers, and yeah, so maybe it could help somebody else that has
Yeah.
traveled and go to different
Awesome.
countries. And yeah, so go ahead, Senita, and share with us what you are doing in your new business that you just started 4 months ago.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. So my business is called Excellence in Expat Education because we have found a niche in the market in education. And that niche relates to people like us who move from country to country for business. And each time you go to whichever country in the world, it doesn't matter whether there's a first world country or third world country, you always wonder which is the best school for your child. So, having been through that, I realized that there's no reference about which is the best school in each country. So, what you do, you go on forums, you try to speak to people who might have lived there before you, and there's a lot of research. Some companies might allow you to go on a mission, and that means just paying you a flight to go to that particular country, gives you a few days to visit the schools, get the feeling of whether it's good or not, and then decide on which is the best school for your child. But that's not always possible. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm in Cairo right now. If tomorrow we were to move to New Zealand, no company would pay us a plane ticket just to go there and visit some schools and come back. The distance is just so, yeah. So as a result, and after a lot of research, we realized that, like I've already said, there's no reference for expatriates, which is the best school for the best school in each city or country in the world. So if we just take Cairo, we looked at the different organizations and international bodies which accredit schools around the world. And most of them accredit schools based on the curriculum or their systems. They don't take into account other ideas that expatriates are worried about, such as safety, facilities, possibility for their children not only to have the best education, but to be accepted into further education when they move to a different country. And we have come with this. We have come up with this set of references, which are on our website. And what we do is we go to schools, we assess them on this criteria, we assess them academically, we assess their facilities, we assess the management, and we also assess a very important thing, which is um, uh, parental support. How does the school make families welcome, integrate, help them integrate? How does the school communicate with the families? Because when you're an expatriate, you move to a new country, you know nobody. And most of the time, your first point of contact is the school. That's where friendships start, relationships, connections, spouses who don't work. Usually that's the way to connect with other people and maybe find a local job. So that is very, very important. And a lot of schools don't have that support at all. Like basically you take your child to school and that's it, nothing else.
Do you
And
find language barriers? Like,
of course,
yeah,
expatriates come, yes, good point, yeah.
do they all
Expatriates
speak
come from
English?
all, yes.
Do they all teach English?
Of course, schools usually, so for the moment our system is for English schools, but we've just translated our website into French, and we're hiring agents to assess French schools as well.
Wow.
So like you said, a lot of expatriates come from countries where they don't speak English, and a lot of the parents don't necessarily speak English or not perfect English. And that's very, very important how the school takes that into account and help them, like I said, integrate, help them know people, how teachers speak to them, how the communication goes, and so on, so they don't always need to bring their own translator with them. That's very, very important, yes.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about who you've met and some of the meetings that you've already had that is really impressive with getting this whole business and this whole thing together.
I have spoken to many people because I really wanted to be absolutely sure that my ideas were necessary out there. So I have spoken to a lot of people working in diplomacy. I have met around 22 ambassadors here in Cairo, and every single person believes that this is an absolute necessary service. We also have parents working for the UN, for UNESCO, for all kinds of American charities. And these are huge institutions. And just like embassies and other multinationals working, not only here in Cairo, because this experience now comes from other countries that we have lived in as well, both Europe, Middle East, and Africa, they just don't offer any solutions to people moving here. Usually they offer you a job, they offer you money for school, and they offer you a house to live in, and sometimes they pay your bills, your daily utilities, but then that's it. You're still out there searching for the best school. And not only meeting all these important people, but just parents at schools. And like I said, I'm in touch with parents not only here in Cairo, but with parents in other countries, British people who live in Spain, American people who live in Romania. The German ambassador here in Cairo moving to Bucharest has just asked me which is the best school in Bucharest. And mind you, his wife is Romanian, and they're still not sure where to put their kids, and so on. So there's definitely a need out there for information, for this reference that expatriates are looking for, this guarantee that the school my children go to is not just a good British school, a good American school, or a good French school. Is the best school, and my children are guaranteed top education in order to be able to continue back home, for example, because a lot of parents do move back home kind of for high school, just before university, because they feel like education back home is stronger than anywhere else abroad. So so this is how my companies come into existence. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you have different criterias for every school and stuff. So tell me about it's called the Diamond Program.
Correct, yes. So where we've designed on my website, which is eeaward.com, is the exact criteria, which is kind of quite elaborated. So I'm not going to go through everything, but basically following research and speaking to parents and the need for a reference, we have designed assessment on 4 aspects of a school life. One of them is academics. So what expatriates are looking for, they want a school where the teachers are very well qualified. They want teachers, if the school's British, they want British educators. If the school's American, most probably they would want American or Canadian educators, and so on. They also looking for schools where there's not a lot of turnover. So they want their children to start and finish with the same teacher. They don't like schools. There's this idea that if teachers come and go very quickly, it could be that there's something not right with that school. Teachers are not happy. So they do like to go to a school where there's a great academic life and teachers are wonderful, prepared, welcoming. They want all that. And they want, so this is academics. Another criteria is management. They want to make sure that management has the competency to run an international school. And they're looking for people who've got the same experiences as them. If the manager is somebody, for example, from Egypt, he might not know, or she might not know what it's like to move from country to country and the consequences of such, the difficulties, the challenges. So they want a management team that helps them deal better with the school life and kind of assures them that they have a solid criteria for their child's education as well as for their staff. Mm-hmm. They want to know that their child is safe. So that's why we're looking at facilities. They want safety, especially in some countries these days. Safety is just a big issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cairo, because I live here, is one of them, but it's not the only one in the world. Yeah. So there are lots of countries where expatriates are looking for safety. They want to know that if the child goes by bus to and from school, there's safety there. They want to make sure that not just anyone walks in a school any time of the day to collect their child, right? Yeah. And they're looking at facilities, again, from the developmental point of view. They want facilities that help encourage their children's performance, such as PE, swimming, all kinds of sports. They want their children to develop just like back home. So facilities in terms of classrooms, what classrooms offer. They're looking at the latest technology. They want their children to, have interactive boards, computers, to have solid ICT classes, as they call them. And then the fourth criteria would be parental support. So like I said, they're looking for a welcoming community where they feel like they're a small family, they belong. They're looking for activities to make them feel like they're part of it. Yeah. And they're looking for multicultural classrooms, multicultural environments. They love international schools. They love exposure to different cultures, races, religion. And they're looking for tolerance. They're looking for, if my child is this religion, can he be all right in this environment? Right. So they're looking for a series of things that other organizations out there which do credit schools, they're not really considering that. So I'll just give you a quick example. I could give you examples like this from most countries that I've lived in. But for example, here in Cairo, there are 24 accredited British schools. 24 schools which appear in a lot of British organizations' pages as accredited. But we know, because we live here, that expatriates will only put their children in maximum 4 of those. And it's exactly because of the difference in criteria that I've just mentioned. Yes. So when you accredit the school, just to make sure they tick boxes like they're teaching the British curriculum, they have these many hours, they're teaching democracy, and they have debates and stuff like that. That's one thing. Expatriates want more than that. And basically, in other countries, in Spain it's the same thing, in Qatar is the same thing, in the Middle East, like the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, I know all these countries very well, and it's always the same thing. There are loads of schools, but the schools where expatriates really want to go, there are just few of those, not many.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think you're doing a great service to everybody that's, all the nomads that are out there. I'll use that word. It's easier for me. From all over the world. I
Yes,
think
I hope so.
what you're,
I hope so. Can I just say something?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say that our service goes or helps in two directions. So on one direction, we help parents make the best choice for their children in different countries in this world. But the other direction refers to school principals. And by accepting our assessment and ultimately our awards, this school will have will become part of an expatriate network that's growing. There are 200 million expatriates around the world. Of course, not all of these are married, and when you're not married, then you probably don't have an issue with the school in the country or city you live in. But out of it, a lot of them, about 80%, are actually married. And these people have this issue. And if a school gets our award, if a school is assessed and gets our award, this school becomes part of an amazing network of diplomats. Diplomats change in every country every 2, 3, 4 years. So these people will continuously regard this school as the best in the city. All kinds of international organizations, multinationals that work around the world. So it's an investment in marketing. It's not only an assessment. Schools need to think business. And if they want more expatriate kids, by accepting our awards, they actually invest in their business life. They have a wonderful marketing tool, I want to say here, to expand. And that's very important. It's not an inspection. We're not going in inspections. We're trying to provide the service for both schools and families.
That's awesome. That is like that very, I'm very honored to have talked to you about all this and know all this, because I had no idea, right? I've been just in Canada. So
I know. Thank
travel
you.
around and stuff. But you have a really exciting thing happening to you next week. You're meeting with who? You got to tell everybody about that.
I've been invited to the reception of President Macron, President of France, and his wife. And I can't wait to meet them and see what's happening.
And you'll be able to share what you do, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, our page is right now just in English, but we know that in the French community is large around the world. We know that the French community is also struggling to find the best school for their children. Mm-hmm. There tend to be less French schools than British schools around the world. For example, in Cairo, there are 25 British schools and about 4 French schools. In Qatar, there are about 2 French schools compared to about 20 British schools, and so on. But there are lots of French families interested in continuing their kids' education in French. And we're about to launch our page in French very soon. It's already translated. We're editing it, and soon we'll start on that as well. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. I want to thank you, Senida, for joining me here on this call. And we're going to share this with everybody so everybody can see it and on your webpage. And again, I'm sure we're going to talk again, and we're going to do other interviews, because as things progress and stuff, I really want to know more about it and stuff. So
I know, yeah. So happy to share. Thank you so much for having me here, and it's been just great talking to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, be blessed. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.